Welcome to Season 4 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of Rockstar Burst and myself, Michael Woodland, as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, community matters, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. All right, good people. Once again, we're back at it. Another installation of the M-W Tactical Podcast. And just like always, I have to bring in the lovely, the beautiful, the one, the only Rockstar to the M-W Tactical Podcast. How's it going for you there, Rockstar?
Pretty good. I'm a little hot and sweaty. I left the gym like 20 minutes ago, so
What? Now you're gonna have people like hitting us up asking for video footage of what your workout is.
I know. We did yoga. It was painful. I'm not a yoga master at all, but one of my girlfriends teaches a class, so I had to go support. I'm like, man, this is not my jam.
No, I got you on that one. So, but I actually enjoy working out, but it has to be on my own pace, and I have to set a goal in order for me to do it. So, for me to just get up and go work out, yeah, that'll probably happen like once or twice a month. But if it's something going on, like there's an ultimate goal. So if I was doing any type of cage fighting, okay, I'm working up until that main fight. If there's something specific I want to do in shooting, okay, I'm going to work out that area that I'm focusing on, just so I can stay healthy for whatever match that I'm prepping for. But yeah, I mean, honestly speaking, like I'm pretty lazy when it comes to working out, but a lot of people don't believe that. And I was like, dude, I'm trying to tell you, I got poor eating habits and I'm very lazy when it comes to working out. But once I get into it, I'm in it 100%. So you know how that go. Before we go any further, I do want to go ahead and say this week's show is brought to you by Outdoor Dynamics. So their logo is they pull the handle so you don't have to. So head on over to outdoordynamics.com and check out the variety of ammunition they have for all your competition needs. Yeah. So, but outside of the workout that you did this evening, how has your week been?
It's been good. It's been busy. I've been spending some time up by my parents. I've been up by them and working and yeah, I don't know. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Friday, and I still feel like I have a ton of stuff I need to get done. Whatever, I'll get done.
Well, like that old saying goes, there's never enough time in the day. We always need a little bit extra. But then again, somebody also told me if there's never enough time in the day, you got to adjust your schedule. So you might have to wake up earlier or don't sit around so much to get a few things done. So, I mean, there's always logic behind it. Anything, every time somebody says something. Yeah. So, outside of that, what do you have planned for the weekend?
Nothing on purpose, because I haven't had a weekend to not do anything in like, I don't know, I feel like months.
Yeah.
One of my friends wants me to come paint. So she moved probably like 6 or 7 months ago. She just bought a new house. And she's got this wall in her kitchen that I like. I mean, I think it's nice. It's a very like bright, like kind of like bluish teal color. But she hates it. And she's like, can you please come help me paint this wall this week? And it's just like an accent wall in her kitchen.
Oh man.
And it's like, I could probably be talked into that. Like, we have a couple glasses of wine, or you can make me lunch, or I can be talked into helping you paint the wall.
Yeah, I got you on that one. So always willing to help a friend. Like I said, I'm all about that also. So anytime somebody calls me and they need a helping hand, I don't mind giving a helping hand. But I'm also a firm believer in what you put out, it's going to come back to you. So, but then that's another reason why I don't hold grudges against people. So, like I said, if I feel somebody did me dirty, okay, you did me dirty today, but tomorrow it's a new leaf. So I hit the reset button and I don't even think about it. I just do it because I think that's the right thing to do in life also. Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into this quick commercial break and come on back. And I have a topic I want to hit up. And I think it's pretty interesting from a female's perspective and a new gun owner's perspective. So if you will, go ahead and stay in your seats. If you're in your vehicle, set the vehicle on cruise control, adjust your sunglasses. If it's raining, slow it down. But here are a few words from our sponsors.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made in an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
I'm Jason Pratt, Masterclass USPSA shooter, owner of Brass Monkey Bullets. If you're interested in competition bullets, visit www.brassmonkeybulletsllc.com or call me at 423-967-1063. For more information, my email is brassmonkeybulletsllc@gmail.com. Thank you.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for listening to that commercial break. And as I always say, please pay the sponsors of the show a visit and let them know you heard about their products on the M-W Tactical Podcast. And if you're a supporter or you need some stuff for your competition needs or just your shooting needs in general, hit them up, tell them you heard it from us, and you never know what you might get in the mail extra for doing that. Yeah, so what I actually wanted to do was I wanted to go ahead and tackle a subject, 2 topics relating to firearms. So the first one I want to hit up, and this is something that's been beat up and chewed up over the course of years, but I just think because of last year with all the new firearm owners that are coming into play, that this is a topic that we can rehash and it will never get old, you know? So what can a new gun owner consider when they buy a new firearm?
Oh, like what kind of firearm should they get, or what
There,
all goes into
yeah,
it, or what should they have?
yeah. So like whatever it is, you're getting a firearm, you're new to firearms, you know nothing about firearms. What firearm do you get and why? Because you already know
Yeah, well,
normally a new person is always going to say, or a new firearm owner is going to say that I'm doing it for protection, you know, safety of my family or something like that.
yeah, for sure. So I think it's important to really know kind of what you're looking for. Are you looking for a revolver? You're looking for like a semi-automatic pistol? Do you want to be like, you know, old school and get a shotgun, or do you hunt and also, you know, want to protect your house? Are you looking more for like an AR? Um, there's just like a lot of different options when it comes to um, what you're looking for. So if you're just getting started in firearms, I always say one of the best things you can do is go to the range, find an instructor, or even talk to staff who are working, you know, working on site there, and just talk to them and see, you know, what kind of behind the counter. A lot of them will allow you to rent one before you actually buy, which I think is awesome. One, it lets you know like what feels most comfortable for you, because really, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what kind of firearm you buy. It's something that you want to feel comfortable using and training with. So I've got a couple girlfriends who have like their first gun was a revolver. I'm not a big revolver fan. I mean, I think they're cool, but I'm just personally not a fan of them. But I mean, they work really well for some people. So I think the best way is to really just be able to go in, actually hold a firearm in your hand, figure out, hey, like this is really comfortable. Like, oh, like this feels really awkward. Or, you know, and another thing too, are you going to, like, do you want to be able to conceal and carry, or is it just something that you want to be able to keep in your house if something happens? So there's like, I think a couple of questions that when you're thinking about making that purchase, like really determining what your needs are, how you're going to be using that firearm, and then finding something that one you're comfortable using and two you're comfortable training with. Because it doesn't, if you get something but you never pick it up and then an emergency does happen, it's not going to do you any good if it's just been sitting there and you haven't been practicing and training. So those are some of the things that I would take into consideration when I, you know, was first getting into shooting and firearms. It was, you know, the guy that I was dating at the time knew a lot. He was into hunting, and he was like bow hunting and gun hunting. So I mean, he had a nice arsenal of things to choose from. But it really, at the end of the day, it's like it's got to be something that you're comfortable with and that you're willing to actually use.
Yeah, I agree with that. And but I want to add on to it also, like what a lot of people do, because for me, I have a lot of friends that will hit me up, especially females that will hit me up and they will ask the question like, hey, I'm about to go buy a firearm, but I don't know what to get. And more like a firearm is like a car, you know. So if you want the luxury items, you're going to pay a little bit more. But if you want that exotic and brand name, it's going to be a little bit more costly than something like the Kia Soul, you know. And sometimes when I do that analogy in relation, it makes more sense to them. But you know, more people are more hands-on. So normally I will say, hey, meet me at this gun store and let's go over some stuff. And the one thing I don't like, and I said it last week when we was talking with Jara, that what Jariah as I should call it. But the one thing I dislike the most when females going to the store is when the sales guy actually tries to sell the female the smallest firearm, you know. And every time I say that to a female, normally, because we hear it so much, people are already programmed to say that. Well, I want to get something small because I got small hands. And then once you actually prove that, hey, you can handle a full size better than you can that small firearm, now you see the light bulb comes on. More questions are generated. And then that's probably just enough to get that will going. And then next thing you know, they're immersed deeply into the sport of competition shooting, whether it's competition or just plinking on the weekend and just hashing out a skill. But I'm a firm believer in, hey, let's put it in your hand. Let's see what feels comfortable for you, because the texture is something that can turn off a lot of people. And for instance, the M&P 2.0, so I'm a big fan of the M&P version of the firearm made by Smith & Wesson, but the 2.0 version, the texture is very, very rough. It's very aggressive. And out of everybody I heard put their hands in it, it was a 50-50, like, oh, awesome firearm, but I just think the grip is too aggressive. Other people like myself, oh, I love the aggressive grip, so something little like that can turn you off from buying a firearm if like if you don't know what to do. Like, not everybody has a friend they know that can like take some of that aggressiveness off, and like various options in the firearm as well, so but as you stated beforehand, what's your reasoning for getting the firearm? Is this going to be something you're going to carry around with you every day? And what caliber? Because a lot of people think just because you get a 40 or a 45, that's going to be enough to stop somebody. Yeah, it's going to put a hole in them, but what does the 9mm do compared to the 40 and the 45, as far as damage to a human body? So you got to do your research and not necessarily go off of what somebody specifically says, because normally when people tend to say something, they're going to tend to say what they favor the most, so but remember also, price point is in that category. Training value is in that same category. And I mean, that wheel can just keep going and going, but as long as somebody is saying, hey, I realize I need this firearm, what can I get? You can mold that person in any direction, but hopefully the person that's doing the molding is doing it the correct way. So there's plenty of avenues. So I do know with a lot of females that when I do speak with them about getting a firearm, size is always the factor. So of course, like female with small hands don't want to necessarily handle a grip that's massive in their hands, because then they might have that mental challenge that they're not going to be able to control the firearm like they should, so but there's a lot of different aspects to going into what to consider, when purchasing a firearm, especially if you're a new firearms owner. So I will actually say, as you stated, go to the local gun club that's in your area. Go to a reputable store, because a lot of these stores that sell firearms, they'll just hire somebody who claims they know about firearms, or they might put them through a test just to know the basics, single stage, double stage triggers. And then, okay, this is the difference between the shotgun and the AR, like little basic stuff. But when you start asking specific questions, they don't really know how to answer those questions. So, so it's almost like a double-edged sword. You don't want the blind leading the blind, but then again, you already know how a selling point goes sometimes, so just like the used car salesman. Yeah. So, what was the last firearm that you purchased, and what was the reason it took you to that purchase?
A Glock 19, and I love it. I actually was gonna get the Glock 17, and I'm still going to get one at some point, but it wasn't gonna fit. The 17 wasn't gonna fit in my purse. Even the 19 is probably a little large. I wish I had something that was smaller to conceal, but as far as just like feeling comfortable with it and how it handles, I'm a big fan. And I shoot to the range that I go to. It's called Brew City, and it's in Milwaukee. It's right by Miller Park, or I guess American Family Stadium, whatever they renamed it to. For all my baseball fans, it will always be Miller Park to me. But yeah, it's like it's relatively easy to get to off the highway, and I feel like everybody there. I like it because it's like it's not super fancy. Everyone's super down to earth. No one's too cool to talk to. Everyone's really knowledgeable. It's just a really cool spot. There's another place that I go to when I'm up by my parents. It's called The Range, and it's right by a Cabela's. So people like go by their, get their guns at Cabela's and then come practice right down the road. And I like that place. It's very, it's very like high end. It's very new. It's very fancy. It's just a different vibe. It's still got good people and all those things, but it's just a different clientele there. But yeah, no, a Glock 19, I love it. I'm trying to get to the range this weekend. That is on my list. Maybe after I paint that wall. But yeah.
Well, I know like depending on what instructor who you speak with, a lot of instructors that I know personally, they all say get the Glock 19. That's the perfect concealed weapon firearm, or that's the perfect firearm to start somebody out with shooting. I don't own a Glock as of yet because I'm waiting on Taryn to send me what he stated he was going to send me. But like I said, everybody who I hear say that about the Glock, they either carry it or they don't carry it, but they understand the reason why they're saying it, far as it's an easy firearm to manipulate and it's not too big, not too small, whatever their reason is.
Yeah.
Now, I know like my buddy James Yeager, he always says that, like when people always like, well, how do you go about, like he's not going to even entertain that conversation with you. First thing he's going to say is get a Glock, put it in your hand, pull the trigger, work it out. You ask the next question, he's just going to repeat himself. Get a Glock 19, put it in your hand, play with it, work it out. But he's very direct with his training. You know what I'm saying? So he's probably like the next echelon above somebody who deals with basic. So he deals with the basic, but he cuts out like all the nonsense in between. But he's a big person that will tell you get a Glock 19. So but then again, you said you got a Glock 19, so that was your last one you purchased. So
yeah, I was debating between that and the 6-hour P365, which I actually really liked. One of my friends is basically only shoots 6-hour for the most part. So I was training with him. He's a very experienced firearms shooter / he was an instructor. I don't think he's really taking on students currently, but former military, and then did stuff with civilian stuff and firearms, and just he's very easy to work with. Like he makes it a very simple experience, and is not. I've worked with trainers where I feel like sometimes they make firearms way more overwhelming than they need to be. For multiple reasons. I don't know.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just like the whole energy disconnect. But yeah, that I was kind of on the fence between getting that, because after I trained with him, I'm like, I really like this gun. But yeah, I don't know. The Glock just sort of kept speaking to me. I was like, no, this is the one that I want to get. But I will definitely consider that down the road. I also really like the Hellcat. I've shot that several times. One of my girlfriends, that's her carry. gun, and it's a good size. It's fun to shoot. I would definitely consider adding that to the arsenal at some point.
I got you. I got you. Like, I'm not a big fan of revolvers or compact firearms. I have a few compact firearms, but not a big fan of carrying them because the way I look at it is you're reacting to an action that's already taken place if you need to pull it out. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a perfect grip every time. And by me having big hands and having that compact firearm, if I don't grab it right, now I'm either going to have to sacrifice pulling the trigger and it's possibly slinging out my hand, or taking that little bit of extra time and repositioning it. And versus a full size, it might give me that little bit of area to give a little bit more, So, like I said, I'm just not my first choice would always be a full size, not even considering a revolver, but the full size firearm, and then maybe a compact. But now let me ask you this one going forward off of new gun owners. All right. What is the best firearm for home security, in your opinion?
It's tough. I had, several conversations about this, whether it's, is it the handgun that you keep by your bed? Is it an AR? I mean, if you're waking up in the dead of the night, probably the handgun by the side of your bed. I don't sleep with any rifles under my pillow. I guess I could start, but I currently don't. But if you have some time, like if it's like the zombie apocalypse and like stuff's really going down and you've set up a fort at your house, I mean, the AR is a great option for that. But if it's, I think, just the middle of the night and you have a break-in and stuff like that, you don't want to be scrambling around in the dark. So I just feel like the speed and simplicity, a handgun makes the most sense for simple home protection.
Okay. I don't think it's a right, wrong, or best answer for that question. Now earlier this morning, I had that same conversation with my buddy, DJ Composition, who lives up in Bryan Creek, Michigan, who actually owns Freedom Elevated also. So that's a training resource. If you live in the Michigan area, hit up Freedom Elevated. And he actually has a simulator that you can go into versus going to the range and actually pulling bullets. So you're shooting at a screen with different scenarios and everything. So it's really cool if you ever done one before. But he had put a post up, and the post was handgun, AR, or shotgun, which one's the best for home security? And a few people had answered, and I chimed in on a few people and like, okay, let me ask you this one from this perspective. And then he and I started chatting about it in that same conversation and text, not verbally. And my answer simply was whatever you feel more comfortable with, and then you also got to look at it. Not everybody's bank account is set up the same. So if I have a handgun and that's all I have, obviously that's going to be my best resource for home security.
Right.
Now, if I actually have the handgun, the AR, and the shotgun, which one do I train with the most? Which one am I more familiar with? And obviously, like when I was coming up, the older generation was always quick to say that the shotgun was the best for home security, and somebody else had said that in that same thread. And I replied to them something along the lines of, okay, what kind of ammo are you having in that shotgun at that time? Because you did say the pattern can spray, right? But what if it's a slug? You know what I'm saying? The slug is just like a bullet, so it doesn't have that spray pattern like your other ammunition options when it comes to a shotgun. But now, if you're not as familiar with the shotgun as you are with the handgun or the AR-15, what sense does it make to get the shotgun and fumble around with it versus you're already knowledgeable and have more experience on the handgun or the AR-15? But then again, if you're using that scenario, what if the shotgun is the closest thing to you? By all means, you're going to grab the closest thing to you and you're going to run with it.
Yeah.
So, but we had like that conversation going back and forth, just opening up each other's mind, just expressing, what about this? And hey, have you thought about this? Or what about this from a training aspect? So I thought it was an interesting conversation, but I just wanted to get your insight on it because when I threw the topics at you, you was like, well, what are you going to say? And I was like, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. But for me, I'm a firm believer in what you say because even like when I walk around my house, I have my firearm on me in concealed manner. But back in 2017, it was around December of 2017. People was breaking into houses in my area. And of course, somebody tried to break into my house, but luckily I was home when they knocked on the door. I opened the door, slammed the door in the person's face. And then they shot at me and I returned fire with my AR-15 though, so, but I had handgun, shotgun, and AR-15. It's just when I opened up the safe, automatically I just went for the AR-15, but
Right.
my mindset was different because I went back to my military way of thinking, whereas
Sure.
obviously the first thing I did think of is the AR-15 is for mid-range and further. And of course that was being outside of the house. It didn't start inside the house. So it could have been different if it was inside the house, but like I said, you got to be put in that position to actually say we can sit here all day, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but like I said, the first thing I grabbed was the AR-15, and like I said, it was to my advantage for that scenario to use the AR-15.
Yeah.
So but it was just one of those, do people actually think about it, or once again, are you just listening to people?
Right.
Because like even in competition shooting, a lot of times, and I had this conversation with who was I talking with? I can't remember who I was talking with when I said this, but the point was when we were sitting there talking, as I expressed to them, a lot of times when people share the knowledge of what to do or how they do things, of course you're telling it from your perspective, right? But the way you move is not how I move, right? So my disadvantage when it comes to shooting is everybody who shares that knowledge is like 5'5" and shorter, but here I am 6'5" and I can't move like a small guy because I'm taller. The way I move my body is going to be totally different than, the short people that are doing the same sport. So it's the same thing when you look at it from a firearms perspective when it comes to protecting yourself. So you're not going to move like me. Your strength is not like my strength. Your knowledge is not like my knowledge, and vice versa. And the way you move is totally different than how I move. You know what I'm saying? So you got to move within the capabilities of what you have. And I think once people start to really understand that and stop trying to push people to what they would do or how they would say things and everything like that, now we have a broader spectrum within the understanding of, okay, this is what I have to do. Now I understand the importance of training and moving forward with that.
Yeah.
I think I was rambling a little bit too much on that one, but my bad.
No, you made good points. I like them.
Yeah. So but let me ask you, if you had the perfect setup, and let's say your perfect setup will be the choices of your vehicle, your person, meaning how you would conceal carry, and home protection. But let's take the laws out of the picture. What would be your perfect setup?
Well, I mean, I would just like turn the Jeep into a little tank.
Okay. All right.
um, and then I don't know. As far as like what I would carry, I would probably, yeah, if I could have anything I wanted, I would just like put a couple machine guns on the top of the Jeep and like take the first part of the top off and just have my setup
Oh wow,
ready to
you
rock
went,
and roll.
yeah, you went Mad Max with that one. See, I would keep it a little bit more simple. I would keep it a little bit more simple. So for my vehicle, um, of course, I wouldn't want to have firearms on top of it because obviously when it's time to clean them, depending on your environment, if you're out west, close to the water, yeah, you can be going through some oil like crazy, lubrication. If you're Midwest and it's dusty, yeah, you can be cleaning a lot as well. But the same thing comes to out east also, depending on what season we in. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like I said, I would keep like the conceal aspect of things, but I think I would feel a little bit more comfortable if I had that backup firearm on me. So it could be some form of a rifle. As far as the perfect setup for the house, my personal opinion, okay, now I will have a firearm or two in each room of the house in different places, strategically placed if something does happen. So I can move or wherever I'm at, if I don't have anything on me, I can grab it, you know. But that's my perfect setup. But like I said, it's just not going over the top, but at the same time, trying to keep it within reason, whereas I don't want the like Girl Scouts to come to the house. Hey, we're selling cookies, but now they're intimidated because as soon as they get on my street, the guns on top of the house, bzz, 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 start turning around looking at them. I don't want to go over the top like that, But like I said, I just want to keep it in perspective of what I know and how I think things will work in my best interest.
Yeah.
You can always get the person that will say, like, yeah, I have the security team around me at all
Oh
times.
yeah, go big or go home. I'd have like Rottweilers. It'd be a whole thing. I'd probably like build a moat around my house. I've got it all figured out.
That's it right there. That's it right there. So, but what would you give the firearm of the year? What would you say would be the best firearm for 2021?
What? Oh man, I don't even know. That's like I probably my Glock 19 because it's my favorite. That's my favorite. Yeah. It's not even the 2021 firearm, but it does what it does. It works well for me.
Okay.
And every like girls that stick to the range with me, if they don't have a firearm, they've all really enjoyed shooting it. And I can't. So one of my girlfriends, she got, I don't even know what she got, but it's a very small gun. She basically got it because she's like, I want to be able to put it in my purse. And then the first time we went to the range, she's like, I hate this thing. Like it kicks super hard. She's like, I love that it's small and easy to conceal, but she's like, I don't like how it handles. And I was like, well, you can shoot my Glock. And she was like, yeah. She's like, I like this. This is easy to handle. She's like, it's probably a little too big for my purse, but I could carry it on my person. And
So it worked better.
it's just everyone that's, yeah, I know. Because again, she went to a place and the guy was like, oh, yeah, we're going to get you a small gun. And I'm like, I got big old man hands. So I knew that I wasn't getting a small gun right off the bat. So I'm like, I have big hands. Like, I'm not going to be able to hold this like tiny little,
I don't think your
pistol.
hands are. I don't think your hands are that big.
They're pretty big.
I don't think they were that big.
Like in compared to like my height, you would think that I would be, and my feet too. I have big hands and big feet. I wear like a size 10.5 shoe, and I'm 5'6". Like I'm not tall. I'm like regular height, but I got big feet.
Oh my goodness! Here we go. Here we go. The debate has started.
I know, right?
That's awesome, right there. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are the talking points I wanted to hit up for this week. What to consider when buying a new firearm. And of course, if you know somebody who is considering buying a new firearm, ask them a few questions. Why they want the firearm, What's their reasoning for it, their intent, their use, and are they planning on training with it? You know, that's probably one of the most important questions when it comes to anything with a firearm. And then even if you want to tackle the conversation and take it a little bit further, just ask them, okay, so what would be your best scenario for home security with a firearm? You know, and of course, those who don't know, their reference might be a movie, but don't laugh at them because they don't know what they don't know. You know, but at the same time, if they reference a movie, I mean, that's just a starting point for them, and then help them out, teach them the right way. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, if anything, what we should do is pull everybody to the range and just get everybody re-familiar and just give talking points so we can all be on the same sheet of music when it comes to firearm safety. You know, be on the right path of things. All right. So anything else you want to tackle before we go ahead and take off for this next commercial break and prepare for the interview section that we have coming up?
I'm trying to think. No, I feel like just in like headlines, I did see a story about in New York, the Supreme Court was potentially going to rule in favor, more in favor of the Second Amendment than the current legislation. So that's sort of encouraging. I feel like there's been, I'll have to find this. It just showed up on my headlines and I was like, oh, I want to click on this and I didn't have time to, but yeah, that's been on my radar. So
say it all over again because it came across jumbled. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh yeah. So on my head, I'm gonna actually see if I can find the article. But it was about in New York, they were talking about the concealed carry laws and potentially ruling more in favor of gun owners in the Second Amendment, and that the current laws might be, you know, unconstitutional and or stricter than they should be. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick because it showed up. Yeah, here we go. The headline is,
well, I'll let you go ahead and read over it a little bit. And
yeah,
I think that what will take place, like I do believe a lot of these laws need to be revamped because of the fact we have a system that is holding stuff against people for nonsense reasons, right? Whether it be the color of your skin or if you actually serve your time in jail, why is that still a factor being held against you in society? So once your debt is paid to society, you got a clean slate. Now let's push forward. That's how I look at it. But I don't believe once you get out, you know, your rights should be restored, right? And that's everything. Your right to vote, your right to have a firearm, you know, your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But I think that'll be an interesting to hear what that article says after you read a little bit and, you know, you talk about it a little bit more. So I'm curious to hear how they could say like a lot of states overstep their boundaries when that's the separation between federal and state government, you know, because the federal government just makes sure that the states stay in line with everything and everything is within the laws, you know, from a federal standpoint. But I'm curious to hear that one point right there.
Yeah, they so essentially they were revisiting a New York law that required people to get a special permit to carry, and a majority of the justices basically said that Americans have the right to carry their firearm outside of their home for protection, and that the current permit in New York is too restrictive. but they didn't really, they've been fairly like laissez-faire. They haven't really said like a yay or nay as to like what they're going to clarify on it. But yeah. Oh, and then there was another part they're talking about, well, should people be able to carry in stadiums, crowded public events, bars, things like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see how it
Yeah.
shakes out and what they actually decide.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear that one myself. So
Yeah.
now I know Coleon Noir, he was doing a play-by-play, and every so often he was doing it on his channel, but I wasn't even tuning into it. But I was pretty much just kind of waiting till it all comes out and it's all laid out and see what the impact is going to be.
Yeah.
So like, at least that's how I was looking at it and how I'm going to approach it, moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like Kavanaugh's statement. He said, why isn't it good enough to say I live in a violent area and I want to be able to defend myself? And I'm like, yes, exactly. That's the whole point, right? Like, that's why you want to be able to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit. And if you live in a place that's perhaps not as safe as a different place, you should be able to have the means to make sure that your life is able to be defended.
Yes. I can't remember who said this, but they was like, how did they say it? A criminal normally preys on people and they normally have the advantage, especially if they're outnumbered outside. But the firearm leveled the playing field. It was something along that line. I can't remember exactly how it went word for word, but I'm just paraphrasing it, which is a true statement, just like another true statement is the only way you're going to handle a bad guy with a firearm is a good guy with a firearm. So either way you look at it, I just think a lot of people who are in power or people who are writing the laws and they're looking at it from the standpoint of where they are in society. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody has the luxury of living in a gated community with the security guard driving around, or you got the 3 to 5 man detail that's protecting you walking from point A to point B. So and I think there's a disconnect, with a lot of people who are lawmakers.
Rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah, but I honestly believe though, it's easy for us to sit here and complain and say, "Oh, this is BS," and why we're doing this, why we're doing that, when technically you should be the ones that's contacting these representatives that are voted into office and expressing your concerns. And if a group of people can actually sit down and voice that concern and paint that picture so that person can understand it, now they go before whoever they got to go before and, hey, the people in my area, this is what their concern is, and they can paint that same picture, what I'm saying, which can make it a lot better over the standpoint. But if people don't get involved, this is what we have, that divided structure. But one thing I am happy to hear is when that pandemic happened or started, you notice how quick everybody went out and got a firearm then. So I believe a lot of people who was anti-guns was quick to say, "Oh, I need something. I'm with y'all now." I'm a firm believer that took place. All right. So anything else you want to cover before we take off?
No, that was just the last thing. I was like, oh yeah, I saw that article earlier and I wanted to bring it up, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so if you will, stay on top of it, and then next week when we come back, let's re-hit that topic and see what decisions were made off of that decision that's taking place in the Supreme Court. Hopefully they'll be wrapped it up by then, but if not, pretty sure some arguments and points will come out of that discussion that we can still talk about next week. Sounds good. All right. So moving forward, we're gonna have an interview section with somebody who worked nationals, that if you follow USPSA, they worked the nationals match and also shot the nationals match. And this is the same person that kind of rescued me at the Georgia State match, because you remember I was having the ammo issues. And she actually gave me some of the ammos after she got DQ'd from that match, and firearm ran perfect. So it kind of saved me in the match, in a sense of speaking. So we're going to go ahead and talk with her. Her name is Candice. So after this commercial break, we're going to go ahead and bring her on and hear what she has to say about what's going on in USPSA, what she heard at nationals, and how did she perform at nationals as well. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation because she's pretty smart. She's pretty smart also. So all right. So if you will, if you want to go ahead and follow me, as we always say, you can follow me on Facebook and YouTube under M-W Tactical. And if you go to Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, look up at M_W Tactical and look at the videos and all the information that we're sharing on those social media outlets. And if you would like to follow Rockstar, do so at
Rockstar Burst, BERST, and that's on Instagram. It's where I'm most active. It's probably my favorite of the platforms that we have to interact on. So feel free to follow along or send me cool articles or things that might be interesting show topics that we can chat about here. So yeah, follow me on there.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I agree with you on that one. Instagram is probably my favorite platform out of all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree with you on that one. So if you will, good people, please stay in your seats, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made in an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer Bolteron shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
I'm Jason Pratt, Masterclass USPSA shooter, owner of Brass Monkey Bullets. If you're interested in competition bullets, visit www.brassmonkeybulletsllc.com or call me at 423-967-1063. For more information, my email is brassmonkeybulletsllc@gmail.com. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, good people. We're back at it again, and thank you for sitting through that commercial break. And this is the interview segment. Now, before we move forward with the interview segment, I want to go ahead and give everybody an apology because Rockstar's bandwidth was low, and that's why she sounded like she was chopped up and going in and out, because she's at her parents' house and her parents live way out in the country, and that's how she explained it to me. So but we'll make it up. But hopefully you was able to follow through the conversation portion that we had. But moving forward into the interview section, this person that we're bringing on today is the person who I feel saved me at the Georgia State match. And when I say she saved me at the Georgia State match, it was the fact that I was having too many ammo issues that we already know, that you already seen on Instagram and Facebook. And she ended up getting disqualified from the match. And when she got disqualified from the match, she actually volunteered that I can utilize her ammunition to continue the match. And of course, like I said, it saved me from the headaches of having malfunction after malfunction, from having it 2 or 3 malfunctions per stage. So without further ado, I would like to bring on Candice Juliano to the M-W Tactical Podcast, the one who I will call the Savior. What's going on, Candice? How's it going for you?
Oh, thanks for saying that. It was my pleasure to help you out. That was one of the nicest things. The good thing about being DQ'd was I could help you out. And can you imagine what are the odds of us having basically the same gun with probably the only guns on earth that could run that ammunition, because we both have those Brazos custom guns, and I don't know of anybody else who loads 40 cal to 1.220 or whatever the heck length. I think there was something like that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. I didn't like getting DQ'd, but that was good to help you out, and I'm glad it helped you figure out what was wrong with yours.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now, before we actually dive into the Georgia State match, I will say, looking at your ammo and then looking at my ammo, because nobody ever told me what the crimp should have been on the press. So I didn't know what to look for. And every time I went to go look it up, I was looking at various measurements. So I just figured, okay, it's working through my case gauge. And obviously that wasn't right, because I don't have a Hondo. And that's what we talked about when we was at the Georgia State match, having a Hondo. But then again, 6 other people said the same thing to me about having a Hondo. So guess what I'm going to try to invest in here in the near future? Possibly a Hondo.
It's a big ask, because it's like 100 and I don't know, 10, 20 now. I don't know. They keep going up.
Yeah. So the one, like I said, I saw that there was 2 different versions of it. And one version is like the long version. So by that taking place, you know what I'm saying, I'm more along the lines of like, okay, if it will help me with the matter of gauging, I'm going to get one. So,
yeah, you need the 40 XL.
Yes, the XL.
The thing is, it won't tell you, like, it's super long, so it won't tell you if your rounds are like too long or too short. And I think that sometimes happened to me a couple times where I was maybe loading my ammo a little too long.
Right.
But so you gotta constantly like check. Sometimes your press can sometimes be a little long or a little too short. So, but
Yeah.
and yeah, but it's nice to have. I'll put it that way. It's real nice. Yeah. What kind of case gauge were you using anyway?
The Dylan.
Oh,
It
right,
was-
the
yeah,
Dylan.
yeah, it was just
I'm
a
surprised that
single.
didn't bother with the crimp at all. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. But
You can just check it in your barrel too. A lot of times, take the
yeah,
barrel out and just I do that with my 45 1911. I check every single one in the barrel.
yeah. So
So,
that's what Mr. Wilbert, who shoots out of Palmetto Gun Club here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I call him Mr. Wilbert. But he was the one that actually told me that. He was like, do the plunk test.
mhm.
I was like, what's the plunk test? And he was like, yeah, just go and take your barrel and put it in. And if it fits in, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. But I
Yeah, that
never
always
done
works.
that because I was more like, okay, I don't want to, take out the barrel. I think I did it like one time
Hmm.
and it worked for me that one time. So I was like, okay, I really don't know what I'm looking at or looking for. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna stick with the case gauge because I know if it's level, you're good. But
Right.
I was talking to Mr. Wilbert Saturday at a match, and he actually expressed to me that same thing again, but he actually told me what to look for this time. So I
Okay.
was like, all right, cool. So now I got that bit of knowledge, but now at the same time, I'm still going to get the hundo.
Yeah.
So, but my issue was with the ammo was the crimp. So as we said earlier, so actually measuring it out, and I was doing a training session not too long ago that I spoke on a previous podcast with Outdoor Dynamics, John Royer. And when we was doing that training session, I asked him to take a couple of the rounds home that I was having issues with. And he actually did. And then he got back with me and said, hey, your crimp is too big. You got to bring it down. So he told me the measurements to bring it down to. I did that. And now today, the firearm was singing like Aretha Franklin. And that's how I'm gonna word it.
Awesome.
Yes, yes.
That is
But
that is it's nice. It's nice to find it's so wonderful to find out why something's not working and then fix it.
yes.
It's really
So
nice.
but what I actually did was I didn't want to pinpoint it and take a theory and say it was one thing. So I started
Mhm.
from the firearm, cleaning it and really inspecting it, looking for anything out of place.
Mhm.
And then I went to the ammo. And of course, when I did the ammo, when I was talking with John from Outdoor Dynamics, I was more like, hey man, I think it's the crimp. I'm almost certain that it's the crimp. And then he got back with me and said, hey, your theory was correct. It is the crimp. So,
Okay,
so
cool.
yeah. So, but once again, I do want to say publicly, thank you for being my savior at the Georgia State match. I could
Yeah,
have done
well,
a whole lot better, but
it was pretty painful to watch. I was like, oh no,
yeah.
yeah, it's always a bad feeling when somebody's having a rough match. That's always the
Yes.
worst feeling.
Yes. But let's go ahead and let's talk about what took place with you at the Georgia State match. Because
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was staffing the state match. So the day before I shot, I was actually running the staff shooters through all the stages. I was embedded in a squad, so I kind of got to see the whole match before I shot it that way. But what happened to me the day of the match was on the third stage, there was you start outside the shooting area and then you have to get into it. And there's a target to shoot kind of immediately. And I guess I was in such a hurry to go forward and get past that. I caught my leg on the fault line and just kind of tripped a bit. And when you trip a bit, your gun can kind of do this when it's in your hand. And RO said I broke the 180, and I was like, well, I didn't think so, but that's why you have ROs, right? Is to say, no, yeah, you did.
yeah.
But
So
that was the end of my match with stage 3 for me. I don't remember what stage number that was. It was the one where you have to retreat a bunch of times. You have to go forward and retreat and forward and retreat
correct.
and forward and retreat. I think that's stage 6 or something like that.
Yeah. So when that actually took place, I was standing right behind you, and I was holding the camera videotaping.
Well, thank
Yeah, and then when it happened, and I was like, "She's good, she's good." And then when you was trying to get up because you had fell to either one knee or two knees, and your left hand hit the ground, firearm didn't touch the ground. But I think when you was trying to use that momentum to rock back up, when that rocking motion, that's
Ah,
when you swept everyone. And then I was
okay.
like, okay, she got it, but let's see what the RO is gonna
Yeah.
say. Cause then
It's
I
funny
shut up
because like
after that.
the moment it's really a funny video because like the moment when I trip, this uh this like 2 by or 4 by 4, whatever, there's some wood that gets like right in front of me at that moment. And it's really like, oh crap, I don't know. I don't see exactly is happening. But that's a problem. I've been trying to work on the my footwork. It's caught up with me a few times, sort of where I've tripped because I don't pick my feet up enough when I run around. I tend to drag them a lot.
Right.
And so thankfully, that's the only like level 2 major match DQ I've ever had, and hopefully that's the only one ever. But yeah, so that sucked because I really wanted to shoot the rest of that match. It looked pretty fun.
Yeah. Like I said, actually, when it happened, I was more like, oh man,
Yeah,
now she's gonna leave. And that was the person who I was bouncing stage plans off of, and
I know,
different
because I mean we
knowledge
were
and
shooting the
everything.
same guns, same division,
Right.
and not. I, yeah, so well,
But then, like I said, when you decided to stay, so I was like,
yeah, it was
okay,
nice to stick
cool. Yeah, and then even so, like I said, we were still bouncing knowledge off about the different
around.
stages and what you can do within the stages. So I was very appreciative of that as well. And after, I want to say it was either the second stage or the third stage, when we were sitting there talking, that's when it clicked in my mind. I was like, man, she is very knowledgeable within the sport, because we was talking like the politics of USPSA and the shooting aspect, and I was like, man, she got a good grasp on this. So wow, she's
Well,
very
it's
intelligent. So
been pretty heavily involved basically ever since I joined, which was when was that? 7 years ago,
mhm.
I think now. According to USPSA website, I think 7 years. I can't believe it's been so long, but because I got involved in the politics because I wanted to go to the World Shoot, and at the time, USPSA was really thinking about not sending anybody to the World Shoot. They were thinking about not participating.
Right.
So that's what got me kind of involved in the in the politics of it. And I've just, I don't know, been involved in a few things where I get to, for whatever reason, get in trouble, or you talk to people pretty high up and then you start working matches and you see them all the time. So um, and since I worked every nationals this year for USPSA, I've seen like Troy and Jake and the board of directors like all the time. So I got a little bit of an idea what's going on, and it you know
So
um,
now, with all that expertise that you have within USPSA and rubbing elbows with the higher echelons,
mhm.
have you ever considered running for a political office within USPSA?
Maybe area director, but not USPSA president, because, well, I mean, first off, I don't think a woman could win, and probably I don't think I could do that job, in part because it's man, it's really tough.
Like I'm a firm believer in whenever you do something over a course of time,
Mhm,
change can be positive. And
mhm.
even if change does come in and it's something that the majority doesn't agree with, it's always easier to revert from it. For
But
instance, like when I first joined the military, we
mhm,
wasn't having no optics on any of the firearm systems.
mhm.
And then I want to say I was in maybe 10 years or so, and I'm at a squad leader position, and that was the first time I heard conversation about putting optics on a firearm within the military. And then before you know it, it slowly started integrating in. And now when you go onto a military installation, it's like the norm. You always see an optic in basic training on a firearm system, because I only did combat arms. So if I was to go to any combat arms unit, you're not going to just see iron sights, on an AR platform. All right. You probably see it on the handgun, but everything else is going to have some form of an optic. So, so sometimes the change could be good. It could be uncomfortable at first because it's new and not what everybody's used to. But once you grow to it, it probably could make sense. But then again, like I said, if it's something that's unsafe and people don't agree with, I'm pretty sure it can be reverted, to it. But and also, don't ever sell yourself short by being a woman. Please don't do that, because
It's just, well, like I said, I've been around a lot of the old timers and stuff, and I'm not saying that there's an anti-woman bias, but that there is in some ways. It would be harder for a woman to have the respect and it's kind of a boys club, and that's, I'm not opposed to that. I like guys. I like being involved in guy stuff, and it's just a fact that, they're better at that kind of position. Probably it's just easier. And
but what about if you were to actually try it and then you was really good at it and everybody's giving you
we'll
the
see. I'm
kudos?
thinking about trying to run a match. Hopefully I can take over a match someone else is running, and maybe make range, do range master year after next. I think that, and maybe run for board of directors if Bruce, we'll see. Bruce Wells in Area 6 is going to run for USPSA president, and if he wins, he won't be on the board. He'll probably run again if he does not win president, and then I probably wouldn't run against him. I think he's doing a pretty good job. He's such a wonderful people person. He'd be great either as president or on the board.
Okay.
And mostly, people don't know it as much about me, but I'm very conservative in what I think USPSA should be. I always think I joined 20 years too late, kind of. I love the 90s and early 2000s part of USPSA. It's very cool. And I think that the internet, I think, might have been kind of robs you of some of the fun of it. In a way, it tends to homogenize things and make people think that they don't have to actually be there and hang around and talk to people. And, that's.
Well, I think that's just probably more ego driven, because I can honestly say there are some matches where I've visited, like outside of my local area, and some people who are considered the top grade shooters in that area, they don't necessarily help, and then everybody else helps with stuff like that. So like I said, it's more ego driven. So
Right.
but,
I personally think, one of the things I liked about USPSA is the egalitarian nature of it, and that everybody can hold the timer, work the pad, reset the stage. There's no job too small for anybody. I really like that. And IPSC matches tend to be like World Shoot. You didn't reset, you didn't do anything. And it seems like that's the norm in IPSC matches. And I think that something is lost by removing a huge portion of the match from the competitors. And I get why they do it. But I personally prefer it when people reset, or, I love the local matches in a lot of ways the best, because everybody does everything. And
yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I like it whereas, like, when I do a local match, I prefer to do more work at a local match. But if I go to a major match, I don't want to do as much work because you're paying more money. The stages are going to be a little bit more complex. So, You
I
know,
will-
like I'm
I
one of
do
those
get
people
that.
where I need a little bit more study time also. So,
Yeah, I'll tell you, it does. If you're ROing a match and shooting it, it definitely does degrade at least my performance by a pretty good amount. But
right.
so I get that. I wouldn't pay $350 or whatever to shoot nationals and then be expected to hold a timer.
Right.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I mean, the counterbalance to something like huge like nationals or an area match is that the staff works all the time with very little time off on that. So the reset, if they have to reset too, you need a lot of staff or some quick stages because I'll tell you the hardest part, like at nationals, is day 5 or day 6 of getting up, and couldn't imagine having to reset steel like constantly that whole time. That would really wear you down.
Well, I look at it as a trade-off too. Like I said, when you go to a major match and if the match was already designed for you not to reset,
Mhm.
I look at it more as the organizer said, okay, thank you for coming to shoot this match. Now, the way we're going to thank you for coming is you just shoot. That's all you got to
Yeah.
focus on. So,
Well, that
like I
is,
said, I
I
appreciate
think
it.
that's legit too. I've enjoyed that
Mm.
kind of match too. And I really, in a lot of ways, I don't mind staffing those either because you usually have a lot more staff and the squads are smaller. So,
Right.
but I'll tell you, the national staff cost an absolute fortune. I don't know if everybody knows this, but USPSA always loses money on nationals, every single one of them. And
Really?
last year they lost a lot of money because they had like half attendance, but a lot of the fixed costs are the same. They have to pay hotel and travel for all the staff, and then everything costs a lot. Strangely, so that's it. USPSA doesn't make any money on nationals at all.
Mm.
So it's like if there's been some talk of like nationals officials not being very good or they should be paid more and do more or something, but they're already paid a lot. And I mean, it costs a lot of money. And I don't think anybody would want nationals to cost twice as much. I think that would be pretty horrible. And so I don't know, just this, my perspective of working it was, there were some people who actually flew from California and RO'd every day of nationals and didn't shoot either of them. They did like all and helped set up 12 days of, they were there at least 12 days that I saw, and they didn't shoot at all. So I thought that was pretty amazing that they wanted to be a part of it so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's an experience for a lot of
Yeah.
people. Whereas, like for me, I my biggest thing, well, I always wanted to work was like the area matches or the
Oh yeah,
sectional matches.
those are awesome.
Yeah, so I was always looking forward to that one. And then when I actually understood what was taking place behind the scenes, I was like, okay, I got a better grasp on it. And
Mhm.
then when you actually look at it from a planning perspective, you still get a better grasp of it also. So
Yeah.
now I can understand what they're going through. So that's why, like, anytime I go to a match, I make it my point to say thank you to the staff because I really am appreciative that they took the time to volunteer,
Yeah.
to do that. So, but now outside of all the admin stuff with nationals, I was sitting at home because when we was talking at the Georgia match, I thought I had a spot at nationals when I
What?
signed up. Yeah, but what actually ended up taking place was when I was talking to my buddy and I was like, well, let me go back and look and see what squad I was supposed to be on. And then I noticed that I was on the reserve list and I was
Oh
like,
no.
oh man, I didn't get there in time. Like, okay, cool. So right then and there, I had already made a determination that I wasn't going to go because of the fact I didn't want to jump through loops at the last minute. Now, I could have done it, but I was just like, it wouldn't have been worth it because now I would have been rushing to get down there and it, I thought it was going to be too much. So I was like, okay, maybe next year, not this year.
You should have sent me a message. I could have told you the skinny, which was, if you want to go to nationals, book your tickets. There's always room. If you're not picky about your schedule or who you shoot with, Jake always hates that I tell anybody this because he's like, no, don't tell anybody they can show up. But there's always a spot for somebody who wants to show up and shoot. I've never heard of anybody being turned away. There were plenty of people, plenty of squads I know in the Carry Optics Nationals or PCC Carry Optics, we had a couple ghost squads with nobody on them, and there were a lot of squads in the race gun that were a little short. So there's plenty of room.
Oh yeah.
Um,
So, but like I said, maybe next year, I might go ahead and
and you need to
make
become
the
better
investment.
friends with your section coordinator or somebody to get a slot, man.
Oh, like everybody around this area is well connected, but and it's like I said, like when you talk to the different clubs, they'll tell you straight up, like, okay, I only got 2 slots in this division. I got 3 slots in this division. I only got 1 in that one. So and then I know like at my home club, what they do is they base it off of attendance. So like the more matches you go to or the more matches that you win, you have a better chance at getting that slot for national. So they actually have a very fair process of how they select the people. It just isn't okay, we want this person to go. Right.
Okay.
It's a fair process, and it's more to it than just showing up and shooting a match. It's a little bit more to it. Like when I actually heard everything, I was actually impressed with, but that's just my home club. I can't
Yeah,
speak
that sounds
for
pretty. That sounds pretty
another
good.
club. Yeah, but the person that's running my home club, the USPSA, Linda Chico, she's been doing it for
yeah,
like
she's been doing it forever.
years on top of years.
Yeah.
So her system is solidified. So there
Right.
is no knocking her system when it comes to how that selection process comes forth. But now, how did you actually shoot at the nationals?
Well, I'll tell you the Carry Optics Nationals. I shot that one first. I shot a Glock, and it was working fine in practice, right? And then at the match, I had all kinds of malfunctions, and I think the reason was that I was using ammo that just barely made power factor, because I was chronoed it like at 145 or something, and I was like, oh, that's too much, like my practice ammo. And so I just bumped it down by 2/10 of a grain and just assumed everything would be okay. Well, that's not a good plan.
Now this was for Carry Optics, or
Yeah, Carry Optics for the Glock.
Oh wow, okay.
The problem was, I think the when it was fully loaded, the magazine had so much pressure on the slide that it would short stroke on the first round or two. So almost all my problems were some first round kind of problem. I need to put the video together and post it, but like the stage you had to hold a ammo can while you shot. Yeah, I cleared a jam one-handed with the holding the can and on the very first shot. So I had a bunch of mouths, and I'll tell you, that was my third, I think, Carry Optics match was nationals with it, and that wasn't really enough practice. So static targets I did kind of okay, but like movers I was completely lost. But it was, I mean, all that being said, and I did have to go to 6 rounds instead of the usual 3 at chrono just to make minor. So yeah, don't do that.
Well, you should have ordered your bullets from Outdoor Dynamics and got the Librarians for the Glock.
I should have just kept with my hot load that worked fine and didn't feel like too much recoil anyway.
Yeah, I got you.
Because I had a Glock 34 with a frame weight light on it. Basically, it's just a Chinese knockoff Surefire with some weights in it to make it even heavier, some heavier batteries. But the real problem was I just wasn't practiced enough. But I'll tell you, Carry Optics is so cool. I bought a Beretta defensive to do better at the next nationals, because the Glock, I couldn't handle the trigger. It's not that it's too light or anything. It's just the trigger is so long and so creepy, and and it's hard to hold on to for me. It's very slick.
Right.
So I just wanted a steel gun again. So I got one of those.
So now,
But it was fun.
What's your favorite division to shoot in USPSA?
Limited.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
Limited's awesome. Maybe next year open, but we'll see, because opens like limited only even more.
No man, I'm scared of open.
Yeah, it is scary. You got to be fast. But the thing about all the divisions are, I kind of like every single one of them except PCC, but because I'm not into shooting rifles all that much, but like every single one of them, I think is actually kind of interesting and teaches you something.
Correct.
Even limited 10 is kind of interesting because it's kind of like production, but major and, with 2011s or something. So that's interesting in and of itself. But I like limited the best because I like irons, I like major, I like the big mags and all the other cool stuff. It's got the coolest guns, and it's helped me to become a little bit faster and a little bit just more flow a little better during a stage versus production is very, stand here, shoot this stuff, run over here and stand here and shoot that. And the other thing was that limited, I like single stack too before that, but that felt a lot like production with all the reloads. And limited's kind of cool that you have so much more freedom of where you can do things. You end up trading, and you also end up shooting difficult targets significantly faster because you can get 2 Charlie on something that's kind of hard and be perfectly fine. Right. Or even Charlie Delta sometimes is perfectly fine as long as you get past it quickly. So it's very interesting. I love limited's pretty cool. I kind of always thought I should be shooting limited because I can't hit 2 alpha consistently. That's not fun for me.
Well, I can actually say like limited is my favorite. I'm about to start dibbling in carry optics here soon.
Oh yeah.
But
what gun did you, or if you decided on the gun you're going to shoot?
Well, Taryn, he's going to be sending me a Glock Combat Master, and that's a Glock also.
Nice.
But then I also still have the Walter Q5, and I'm going to put a red dot on that one also, so I can have a main one and a backup.
As nice as a Glock is, I don't know, man. I would go, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure his gun's pretty nice. I shot some of his guns and, it's pretty awesome. And yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think you'll like the dot. I think you'll like that a lot. Everybody does. I learned a lot just with my limited time with the dot. I'm getting more target focused. And if you're like me and sometimes you get amazed with a miss or something where it's like, I didn't call that. Well, the dot really, you'll know a lot more when you mess up. I mean, I knew when I was messing up in nationals too, but it didn't really help because it's like, oh God, I keep moving the side off with the really long trigger pull.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to just doing something different, just to break it up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I get it. It's cool.
As I stated beforehand, that I am scared of open division, and the only reason I'm scared of the open division because going into it is $10,000 off the rip. That's the one thing I'm like, yo,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And then everything else after that, it's going to be a little costly also. So,
I'll tell you, that is, that's open's not for poors.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, my friend Russell broke 2 of his checkmates on our squad, one after the other.
Ooh.
The slide cracked and the barrel broke like one stage right after the other. I was like, oh my God, the luck. His 2 open guns both broke. Unbelievable.
Some serious work in on that one.
God, it was funny because he just practiced with them the day before. I shot it. It must be my fault, one of them. But what are the odds of like literally one right after the other broken different? But he cobbled together a working gun out of the 2, so that's pretty cool. I think CZ's taking care of him, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But yeah, I think. Cool. Oh man, open. The other problem with open too, man, is there's so many options and you don't know what you don't know about. Do you want it heavy, long, short? Who makes it? What grip? All these questions. Do you want to? I guess you'll shoot 9 major because that's cheaper. So yeah, I'm starting to look, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, well, when you get yours, I'm gonna be like, yo, let me run that right quick.
It'll be hard not to buy a Brazos, I'll tell you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I say it.
Yeah, so Carry Optics Nationals was pretty cool. It was actually pretty interesting the way a lot of the stages were meant to be very difficult for PCC. I worked a stage with the low port, I think stage 12, And that was meant to mess up PCC people because they wanted to brace their gun, on the port, and they'd get penalties for that. And then the one hand stage with the ammo can was meant to be difficult for PCC, and it felt, a little bit like the let's mess with PCC nationals. But the open and limited nationals was, I thought, a little bit more fun. The stages were opened up a little more, and they moved some stuff around, but that was just awesome. It's the cool guns only nationals, basically. It's really cool seeing squads of nothing but limited and open.
Right.
Cool.
But that's the benefit of having the nationals, whereas they can cater it to how they would like with the various weapon systems. Like I said, I enjoy it because, like I said, I did enjoy the fact that USPSA did do a live feed this year, and that's when I hit you up and I was like, man, you working this match too? You're like, man,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was fortunate that they were all at Talladega, so that's only an hour and change away from where I live, so it was real easy to go to.
Right. So now, how was that experience being at Talladega? Because did they do anything special by it being at a new location versus?
Well, they had nationals there last year. A couple of them. They had low cap and the 2-gun, I think, were there last year. So it's not new, but I shoot a local match there every month.
But did you work the nationals that was there last year?
Yeah, I worked both of those. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was fortunate during the COVID pandemic. The USPSA was the only shooting sport, I think I was told, that was that actually still held its nationals. And I'll tell you, it really helped in a kind of dark time to have something familiar, But that's when they let me work nationals, because I haven't been ROing that many big matches, but they needed more ROs, so I RO'd that low cap nationals in the summer. And I thought that was the best. Nationals is kind of the easiest match of all to work in a lot of ways, because there's so many people and they're all really good at their jobs, so you slot in real easy.
Okay.
Yeah, so that they have had nationals there before, and next year they're going to have a couple there, I think, too. Carry Optics and the Revolver single stack limited 10 nationals, I think, are both going to be there. Was there another one? I don't think so. I think there's only 4 next year, and the others are going to be in Colorado.
Gotcha. All right. So this next section is what I call quick fire. All right. So quick fire is, I ask you a series of questions and you just try to answer them as fast as you can and just give me whatever you think. So there's no right or wrong answer to this. All right. So you ready?
Yeah, sure. Go.
All right. So the first question is loyalty or respect?
You mean, do I want it or do I want it from someone else? I mean,
however you perceive it. However you perceive it.
I think respect before loyalty. That if I don't know, they seem kind of almost very similar to me. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, but I'd say in the end, respect probably matters more.
Okay. Full size or compact?
Full size. Always go big or go home.
Handgun or AR?
Oh, handgun. That's what got me into it. The magic, you got this thing in your hand and, you can make stuff happen a long way off. Yeah.
Okay. Tactical training or competition?
Competition for me, because I don't have enough resources. I'd love to do both.
Okay. One in the chamber or not?
Oh, one in the chamber for sure.
Iron sights or red dot?
Oof. Irons.
Smith and Wesson or Glock?
Smith and Wesson, man.
Okay. Open carry or concealed carry?
Concealed.
Stock sights or fiber optic sights?
Ooh, I like the fiber. Yeah.
Okay. Over the ear or in the ear protection?
Oh, why not both? But in the ear, yeah.
Okay. Safety or no safety?
Safety. Love 1911s.
Flashlight on the firearm or no flashlight on the firearm?
No flashlight. It's too big.
Okay.
Too big for concealed. You end up with this huge thing.
Indoor or outdoor range?
Outdoor. First time I shot at an indoor range was my very first time. It was in a concrete thing and I cried. Oh man, it's just so loud and I couldn't take it.
Rain or extreme hot?
Extreme hot. Everyone gets dumb in the rain and things get weird.
Yeah.
And pasting targets is really horrible.
All right. Jesse Harrelson or Julie Galop?
Julie helped me out a lot when I wanted to go to World Shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the last one, speed or accuracy?
Speed. 100%.
All right. So why you say speed over accuracy?
Looks better on the gram.
You missed the target though.
It's more fun though, right? I mean, you can make up for it by pulling the trigger again, right? It's speed's fun. I thing I love most about shooting is pulling the trigger. So I like doing it as quick as I can. But if you're talking about competition, real life, I mean, it's obvious accuracy matters. Well, I don't know. No, that's the thing. I still say speed.
Okay.
Firstest with the mostest, man.
Yeah. So like I said, there's no right or wrong answer on that one. So
yeah, those are pretty good questions. Those are very make me think, both sides have something to say for them.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So once again, I do want to thank you for coming on to the M-W Tactical Podcast.
My pleasure.
And like I said, we definitely want to bring you back on a future show. But then also we need to link up outside of a major match and shoot like a local match and do the same thing that we did for 2.5 stages at the Georgia match.
All right, not enough.
Yeah. So
we'll come on down here and we'll see how it goes. There's a couple good ones in Georgia, and then Alabama's got a few good matches. Those are really cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk after the recording and see what y'all schedule's like and see what we can work out and make it happen. All right. So now if the good people want to actually get in contact with you or follow you on social media, if you do anything on social media, how can they do so?
Let's see. Well, I'm on Facebook, Candice Juliano, pretty easy to find there. I haven't been doing as much like on YouTube as I used to, but I started putting up some match videos again. That channel name is just Candice J Productions. So pretty simple. I stopped doing Instagram because I don't know, it felt like too much work. So yeah, those are the two main things I'm involved on. So,
okay. Yeah. There you have it right there. So go give her a follow, go check out her videos. And I will actually say, do not sleep on her for being a shooter because she's a female. Right? She is actually very talented with the firearm. Right. So if you don't believe me, please go check out her videos and find out for yourself. So once again, Candice, I do want to thank you for coming on to the M-W Tactical Podcast. And like I said,
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You're more than welcome to come back anytime you like. And like I said, we will be linking up at a future match here shortly. All right. Okay. So, but if everybody will, please stay in your seats. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer Bolteron shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
I'm Jason Pratt, Masterclass USPSA shooter, owner of Brass Monkey Bullets. If you're interested in competition bullets, visit www.brassmonkeybulletsllc.com or call me at 423-967-1063. For more information, my email is brassmonkeybulletsllc@gmail.com. Thank you.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us on the M-W Tactical Podcast. Remember, a new podcast comes out every Tuesday. If you can't wait for Tuesday, go listen to past episodes to catch up on what you missed. Make sure you visit www.m-wtactical.com and see what all is offered on the site, where you can even purchase M-W Tactical apparel. But please, go to our Facebook and Instagram page and follow us on our journey in the sport of competition shooting in the realm of the 2A community. Until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun.